f of x is equal to 2x squared minus 1, and g of x is equal to 2x plus 4. So finding the combined function, if we have an addition function, we're just going to add these two functions together. So we are going to end up with 2x squared minus 1 plus square root of 2x plus 4. Just make sure that if you have a minus here, that you make sure you group everything in brackets on the other side of that minus. The domain of this function is going to be x is greater than or equal to negative 2. We choose the most restrictive domain of the two. Here we have an embedded function. So we have f of g inside f. So when we do that, we're going to end up with 2x squared minus 1. And inside that, we're going to embed the g function, which is square root 2x plus 4. We can simplify that. So we end up with the square root and square cancel out. So we end up with 4x plus 8 minus 1. So 4x plus 7. Now when we do the domain of this function, we have to, although this domain of this linear function is all real numbers, the domain of this function has to observe the domain of the original function. So we cannot plug in anything less than negative 2, so the domain of this function is going to be x is greater than or equal to negative 2. Looking at this next function, g of f of 2x, okay, we're going to start with the g function. It's going to be the square root of 2 times x plus 4. We're going to embed the g function inside. It's going to be 2x squared minus 1. And since there is an embedded function inside of f, we have to embed the 2x here. Okay, so we need to make sure that we observe the right domain. Now this one's a little bit more complicated. We know that any number can fit into 2x, so that's all real numbers. We know that the quadratic can take on a domain of all real numbers. So we just have to worry about the range of this quadratic. Okay, because the range of this quadratic has to fit the domain of the g function. Okay, so the range of the quadratic, and I'm just going to put in brackets here, f of x. Okay, the range of this function is going to be y is greater than or equal to negative 1. The domain of the square root function is x must be greater than or equal to negative 2. Well, everything that comes out of the f function can go into the square root function. So in this case, the range of this whole function, the domain of this function, is going to be x is all real numbers, because anything can go inside the x here, that x there, and everything that comes out of the red function can be input into the square root function. So the domain is going to be x is all real numbers.